Hello everyone, this is Nimish and today we're going to review the Malayalam movie Munariyippu starring the one and only Mammootty and Aparna Gopinath. This is a very different movie. I don't think I can categorize this movie as a thriller or a drama or a suspense or just some psychological thing or philosophy. So there's no classification for this kind of film. It's like a one of a kind film that has a mix of everything and is completely standalone. So honestly, I don't even know where to begin, but the easiest part where I always begin is the acting. So let's go with that. Aparna Gopinath is absolutely fantastic in this movie. I thought that unlike all her other performances where she always had smaller roles like in Charlie or ABCD, where she was of course doing what she had to do and she was doing it well, here she has a full-fledged role, a very woman-centric movie because the lead character is the main character. She's kind of the main character also. And so she's absolutely fantastic in this role, and her ups and downs of emotions, her complete transition from the first scene to the last scene is something very, very, very natural, which is absolutely rare to see in many actresses. Of course, down south there are some very good actresses, but in Bollywood you'll never see such great performances. It's very rare, like once in 5-6 years you'll find one good actress who does it. So that performance was absolutely fantastic. Moving on to Mammootty, the one and only, I have no words. Like the moment he came on screen in that conversation with Aparna Gopinath in that jail where she first time comes to meet him, his whole body language, his whole personality was like you're watching someone else. And this is something I say in all his reviews. He just becomes someone else and it's unimaginable. Like I literally got goosebumps while watching him act because I could never envision and imagine Mammootty doing such a role in such a personality. And I'm talking about the chunk of the movie where he's playing a little lost simpleton kind of character who says he's not done anything. He writes something, he doesn't know what he writes, how he writes it, it just comes to his head. And he's playing this character who's basically acting very clueless and he's very different, he's very weird, and he's simple at heart. And that's how even the inspector describes him. And so he played that role absolutely convincingly, and I can't even explain right now how I feel about his performance. And then towards the end, there's that one scene where Aparna Gopinath leaves him at the hut and he just smiles at her. And that, my God, that change was absolutely insane. Like in a second, his full eyes and expression changed, and you got a hint where this movie is going. And then, of course, in the last scene, when he gives that smile, it's wicked. It's as wicked and evil and scary as can possibly be. And you know that something horrible is going to happen, and he is completely different and not the person you're expecting to see. Now, going back to the story, this is a very philosophical movie. It's not something like directly a suspense thriller like, oh, he is the killer or not, or oh, is he has he done the crime or not, oh, what is he going to do next. That's not what the movie is about, although you can enjoy it in that sense also. But if you enjoy it in that sense, that it's a suspense and there's a twist at the end and then it's fun, then you're going to want more explanations. You're going to be like, wait, what about this, what about that? And the movie is actually not about that. It's not about what did he do, why did he do it, how is he like this. The movie is not about that. The movie's track is something else. It's basically about a guy and his ideas about life and why he feels so comfortable in prison, why he feels and finds that freedom in prison, which he can't find usually on the outside, and what goes on in such a character's mind. Now, although this movie might be based on the styles of Dostoevsky or Kafka and that kind of philosophy, in fact, someone once even commented that this movie is actually kind of taken from one of Dostoevsky's book. Now, I have not read any of those books, neither do I know what those styles exactly are, but I know what they generally are, and I know that it's all about philosophy, it's about personal, psychological elements like guilt, freedom, all of that kind of thing that goes on in some people's minds and how it affects human psychological behavior. So this movie is based on that kind of area of life, art, and film. And so this movie, once the movie ends, that's when you realize that you've probably missed a lot of points. You've probably overlooked a lot of points, and all those scenes and conversations that you were thinking, why is this conversation even there in the movie, and what has it to do with the main story, is actually the main story. And the other things that you thought were the main story were actually just the things that they were showing, the procedures going on. So this movie, once you finish it, you feel like, you know what, I need to watch this again, and I need to understand each and every dialogue well and what he's trying to say. Of course, to sum it up in short, the key and the most important scene that kind of explains this whole movie is when Mammootty goes to the bar and he drinks and he speaks about the whole Cuban Revolution, the revolution in your own life, there will be bloodshed, that kind of dialogue which is there. So that is basically the crux of the movie, that he is someone who wants freedom, and he is someone that does not like that kind of approach of being pestered or being told what to do or all of that. And so he finds that in the outer world, he feels everyone tells him what to do, or someone or the other tells him what to do, and there's no control of his own life, which he finds in jail. He finds the freedom in jail, because in jail you don't do anything. You just have to sit by yourself, eat those 3 or 4 meals, just ride if you want to ride, just do the work, generally what's there in prison, and that's all. He finds that peace and that solace in the prison, and that he did not find outside, or he does not find outside, or he's fixated to not finding it outside. Of course, he's a psychological character, so there's something wrong with him. He's not normal, but that's him. He's not mentally retarded or something, or completely psychological killer. He's just a little different, and he can't handle it. And so that's when that click happens, that trigger happens, when he has to kill or he has to hit someone who's really annoying him or getting him on his nerve. Now, I may be completely wrong, because I'm not some great analyst here and this movie is not in my native language, so from whatever I can understand, that's what I'm speaking about. But here's my assumption for those of you who are curious as to, why might he have killed his mother, I think, and his wife, or was it his wife and his neighbor, something like that. So why did he kill those two? I'm thinking the only reason that can probably comes across in the film is that his family, that wife or mother, I'm not sure, I'm sorry, I forgot, his wife or mother basically didn't allow him, that freedom. His wife or mother pestered him, that woman pestered him so much and kind of told him what to do, and then the neighbor was also getting on his nerves. So the easy assumption is that he just couldn't find that freedom, and in a fraction of a second he just killed his wife randomly. And neighbor, I don't know, but I'm guessing the neighbor probably saw, or the neighbor also did something, or the neighbor was trying to go and tell the cops or something, whatever. So those are one of the 1,000 assumptions you can have of why he killed those two people. And again, as we are shown, Aparna Gopinath is getting on his nerves, telling him what to do. You have to do this, you have to write for me, you have to write by a deadline, you have to do this and that. And so that also gets on his nerve, because he's not initially completely planning to set out on killing Aparna Gopinath from the time he meets her. He's not like a lady killer or something like that. He's just, it happened, it so happened. He was very happy with the things that were going, but then with the constant nagging from Aparna Gopinath, he felt it went to an extreme, and he just couldn't handle it, and he cracked, and so he hit her. Now, as I said, again, why he's doing this in terms of why he did that in the past, and whether he did it or not, or how he did it, is not the part of the main story. So these are the only guesses we can make as to why he did it. So the movie is just a character study. It's a psychological study of this character and how these emotions, which are so difficult to understand and portray, can be presented in the best manner. And I think the director, the writers have done an absolutely insane job in making this movie, because every shot, including the shot of the ants carrying the lizard, all of the shots has some significance or the other in terms of what the movie is trying to tell. And every character that is here in the movie has a role to play. Like every character, including Prithviraj's character, has something to say and has a role to play. And the main central character of Mammootty is something that is written so well that it's not easy to present a movie which deals with such philosophical concepts of the mind and the psychology, to present it in such an effective way. And I think they've done it. And considering that all of you guys have recommended this movie to me, that shows that the movie has achieved that kind of storytelling and the kind of intention that people understand what the story is trying to tell. Because in philosophical movies, sometimes it gets extremely difficult to portray what you're trying to portray. So I think the director has done a fabulous job, the writer has done a fabulous job, and without Mammootty's absolutely fantastic acting, this movie would have gone flat on its face. So he truly would have deserved an award. I don't know if he got an award, and I don't really support awards or anything like that, but I think he should have got an award, because That kind of portrayal nobody else in the Malayalam film industry, let alone Bollywood, can do. And what he did was something completely different. Like, it's absolutely fabulous. I like this movie, and it's definitely something very special. It's something that stays with you. It's something that you feel, you know what, this was good, and this was some kind of filmmaking that is different, that is refreshing, that makes you think, and that is at a different level altogether, that is so difficult to kind of comprehend as to how they made this movie, how they effectively made this movie, and how all the kind of work that's gone into it successfully came out. So I liked it, and I think that this was a great movie. In the second half, though, in terms of the looks and the cinematography and the complete color grading that was used, the film got a little too blue for me. You know, the same thing I said in Guppy, I don't want to repeat here, but after doing the review of Guppy and after kind of studying about how they do this kind of color grading and everything, there's something called LUTs, which is a lookup table, and they use the lookup table to add that filter basically and convert the color of the movie and the shades of the movie. This is not to say that the movie is something else and the color grading makes it something else. Of course, there's a lot of work involved in setting up and making those blues and oranges come alive, but it gets much stronger when you apply the filters and the LUTs. So all of you who are curious, definitely go and type LUT in movies in Google, and you'll probably get videos about how LUTs are used, what LUT does, and how it works. So in this movie too, as you might have noticed, or now you can go and notice, in the second half there's a lot of blue and orange, just like Guppy had, and it kind of, but it's very strong, like it's very contrasting, and it's very kind of distracting to a certain extent, unlike Guppy. So that's why I specifically said about Guppy in the review that that was brilliantly done. Whereas in such movies, they try to do it, it kind of gets out of hand, and I thought that there was too many blues, and it shouldn't have been that way in the second half. But anyway, this movie was absolutely fantastic. I enjoyed it. I'm sure you guys, since you understand the language and since you have watched this movie a couple of times, can tell me much more about the movie than I can explain here. So I look forward to your comments about this movie, what you guys think the movie was about, what you guys think the character was about. Definitely leave your comments below. The actors leaderboard is here. I hope you'll check out that at the end of this video, and I hope you like this review of Munariyippu. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and keep watching.